What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. You want to hear a broken record? When I was a kid, I was the MCU kid. I went and saw every MCU film in theaters. Not all of them, but most of them. I saw every Avengers film in theaters. Why, that is a genuine fact. Despite being 5 years old, I still saw the first one in theaters. And it is a day, again, despite being 5 years old, that I'll never forget. But as time went on, I was still that guy, being kind of a nerd, and I mean that in the best way. I gave every MCU film the benefit of the doubt, and I still saw most of them in theaters. Even over the past 6 years, post Endgame, when we started to get the downfall of the MCU, I still tried to keep in good spirits because I just remember as a kid how much excitement I got from each comic book superhero film. Again, I know that sounds nerdy, but that's just who I was. It was part of the reason why I fell in love with film in the first place because it was something that I could sit down and there was just certain moments in these I just got so excited. And going to the theater and being in a room with people on opening night seeing these films, everyone in the same position as you, just super excited for these events almost. And yeah, you can do that with other films. Don't get me wrong. I've still done that a lot, with a lot of films just going and seeing on opening day. But the MCU films before the downfall were always that way. And even then, post Endgame, we've had, the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 and the No Way Homes and the Deadpool and Wolverines. But even with something like Deadpool and Wolverine from last year, yeah, I enjoyed it. I haven't rewatched my review, but I'm sure that I was overly positive because that's how I am about these films because I just get excited, regardless. And I know that docks me as a reviewer, and honestly, I'm okay with it. I do feel like I've gotten better with it. Um, But even with that one, it struck to a very specific formula, and also having a weak villain and a cheesy villain and, everything about the villain I just didn't care for. But it was the main protagonist that brought me back and it had that formula and it was great. And, a lot of them, a lot of these MCU films these days rely on cameos. And yeah, they're fun to a certain extent, but at some point they just kind of wear off the excitement. Don't get me wrong, and again, I think Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is great. I think it's the best one out of the trilogy. It made me cry. It's great. James Gunn, you're the best. Can't wait for Superman. But it still followed a very strict formula. Same thing with No Way Home. Great opening and night experience. Everyone cheering and amazing, whatnot. Can't speak enough about it. But there's still a downfall, and it's felt because they don't hit like they used to anymore. They don't hit like Endgame. They don't hit like Infinity War. They just aren't like they used to be, and that is painfully obvious. But when I hear a film like Thunderbolts and they're trying to advertising it, or at least tempting to, trying to make it sound like a smaller, more performance centric film, that intrigues me. So, despite my better judgment of still being, a little scared about it, I went and saw it. Yeah, a couple days late, unfortunately, but I still did it. And in its own way, it kind of blew me away. I'm not going to say, I mean, I'm not going to say that this is going to change the MCU forever or, because I've only seen it once. I'm not going to say it's a top 10 MCU film, though I'm starting to head that way. But this film didn't stick to the exact you know, copy and paste formula. Now, if you go see it, you probably think to yourself, yes, it does. And you know what? You might have a point, but in my head, this film just hit so home for me. What this film tackles and breaks down and looks with a deeper lens hits very close to me for who I am, even as a person personally, And the way they do it is so beautiful that you can't help but to just fall in love with the characters that they place in front of you. This film isn't perfect, but there isn't anything overly bad about it either. I really enjoyed this film, okay? And I probably enjoyed it more than most, and that's probably the case for most MCU films, but this one feels different. Everyone in this film acting wise is on their top of their game, on their A game. They're all amazing. And I know every reviewer, again, a broken record, probably pulls out one of the actors in this film and talks about how their performance was better than the rest and how they were a standout. But they're all standouts. I could go on for half an hour about David Harbour and how funny he is and how he literally lights up the screen and chews up the scenery every time he's on the screen. Or how Sebastian Stan is literally an Academy Award. There's two of these guys who are literally Academy Award nominees. Sebastian Stan being one of them. And how he, without even using many lines, just you can feel his character because of the previous movies and just how Sebastian Stan acts. Okay, I mean, obviously Florence Pugh. She's always been great. Oppenheimer, amazing. Little Women, she got Oscar nominated for. Come on, like, and I could go on for hours about the performances, but at the end of the day, they're all great and they all hit home with me. The antagonist in this film almost feels original. I'm not a huge comic book reader, so I couldn't tell you what in the comics it all says, but the void, if you will, it they break it down in a metaphorical way that you can just understand and relate, and it's just beautiful. The writing in this film is great. Like, seriously. Oh, I've seen a lot of posts on social media, even a few days after, specifically talking about John Walker, or U.S. agent, if you will, and how he wasn't really a liked character in Captain America or the Winter or Falcon the Winter Soldier, whatever that series was called. I've never been big into the series. Is That's my own bad, but no one really cared for his character. I remember that much. But when you actually have good writing, like you do in this film, every single one of these characters, even if they were previously in a not so great film, or something about it just didn't hit, all of them have gotten elevated. Every single one of them. They're all super lovable. They feel like a closely knit family that you want to root for. And that is the biggest compliment I can give to this film. All these actors also have a chemistry together that is unbreakable. Basically, this film almost left me speechless. And I don't want to overhype it, and I don't want to sound like a nerd by saying how much I liked it. I'm just saying that it hit home for me. Okay? It just did. It's probably a personal thing. A lot of people aren't gonna like it as much as I did, and that's okay. Like, seriously, that's okay. I understand, but I really want people to go see this film because Marvel has always stereotypically been the big box office stealers, and sometimes not the best ones have done that. So you kind of get that more basic formula in basic films. But if this one makes money, I have a feeling that we can get more ones like this, and that's a good thing. That's a great thing. We need more MCU films like this with these people, all of it. Stay for the post-credit scene, classic Marvel excitement. You have to. Mid-credit scene, also funny. David Harbour, already mentioned him, freaking hilarious, dog. Like, chews up every scene he's in. Guys, Thunderbolts is a 4.5 out of 5. Go see this film. It's good. It tackles something that we can all relate to, being depression, and they handle it in such a great way that I don't see a lot of films handling it. Thank you guys all for watching this video. Stay tuned for more reviews, hopefully soon, and peace out. Like and subscribe.